viewers of the internet, welcome to the latest episode of Lads Discuss Death Battle. I'm joined here as always by Jaru J and Saber King.
Hola.
Mushroom pizzas are delicious.
I agree.
Can we ever do an intro that works?
Nope.
Okay, so latest episode of Death Battle was War Machine versus Genos, and the next time is something that I did not see coming.
Like 95% of people didn't see this coming.
I saw it coming.
But before we before we move on to the latest episode, we're gonna look at some comments that people gave their thoughts about the verse community. For new viewers, we discussed about the verse community last episode, in which we didn't have polite things to say, at least.
Well,
I
we're
gave
not...
some polite things.
Yeah, I mean, I was being brutal. I mean, I'm being honest. What do you want from me? You want me to pretend? I can't do that.
So what did the viewers have to say?
So,
Yes.
From Yang the Insane, she just commented, I'm not too fond of the verse community due to a lot of unnecessary argument and pettiness. Which, you know, at first I was thinking, doesn't really add too much about the community, but that is kind of true. The community does survive over petty arguments and, like, just spite, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Word.
For people who are curious about my thoughts of why I think that, click the link below in the description and you'll see our thoughts on that. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's what a lot of the community is?
Oh yeah, there's lots of pettiness in this.
Oh yeah. Like, without question.
I think I covered everything I have to say about that last time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say much again. But yeah, I agree. They can be very petty.
Okay, this one was quite interesting that I saw this morning, funny enough. Mega Volcano 1, number 2 was gone for the night. Personally, my main problem with the verse debates in general, and why I can't fully get into it, is because it kind of rewards bad writing. Like Jaru kind of said, at best, it rewards inconsistent writing. That is 100% true. That is so true.
That is very true.
Like,
nothing annoys me more than them being like, because, like, back in the day, Death Battle would actually, you know, ignore outliers. I know, crazy thought. They would try to depict a consistent vision of the characters. But I guess in this day and age, we don't care about that. Spider-Man's light speed now. So as long as there was a laser in their vicinity at some point, they are now capable of fighting Goku. Those are the facts.
Exactly.
I think I can only assume that the research team for Death Battle has gotten a lot more... versus debaters on it.
That is actually true. They've got some people from, I think some people who used to work for Crossover X.
Yes.
One day left. They joined Death Battle, funny enough. Well, congrats to those guys. You know, they got to work on their dream show.
Yeah, I absolutely, though, agree that it would definitely versus debate rewards in bad writing. Because
I see it a lot on DeviantArt. So, let's say a friend of mine sent me a recent... let's just say Death Battle, and I thought it was terrible how they did the analysis for those two characters, let's just say that. Because it required a lot of outliers and possibility feats, like, you know, oh, well, this one character did this, so maybe this character can do the same. It's like, unless that character's actually done it, can you really give them that?
Yeah, it certainly rewards bad writing, which is why the fairy tale character is definitely going to win next time.
Agreed.
But yeah, no, I think that's a very good point. I agree with that.
And
I like that.
The last one from Logan GC. Logan, that is a cool name.
All these are cool names.
I know, except for the insane part. I feel like that's a cunty name.
Wow.
Well, then you're dead.
Hey! お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Yeah, yikes. Holy shit.
Don't worry, I've joked about her with that name so many times.
Well, hey, it's your funeral, not ours.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm staying.
Don't worry, we're going to get Piers Morgan to replace me next episode, people, don't worry.
Nobody wants that douchebag on here.
I don't even know who he is, so let's have him on.
Okay.
So Logan GC says, verse debates in general can be very tiresome. In particular, verse debates between comic characters in general. Consider that comic characters that have existed for 40 plus years, with dozens of writers, can lead to inconsistencies, retconning, and frustration in so many storylines. Can be a pain to debate against. That is true. Like, for example, War Machine. He's had plenty of reboots. Well, I'd say officially he's had 2 reboots.
But his predecessor has had more reboots than a Batman comic combined.
That is a feat.
And since they decided to scale the ever-living shit out of him to Tony, that means that War Machine inherits that lack of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing as well was like, okay, so the original story about War Machine's like armor was that it was originally like Tony's older armor, yet somehow, despite the fact it's never been upgraded, it's still capable of matching a more advanced Iron Man suit. There's definitely some inconsistencies there, I agree.
Yeah, but it just got worse as time went on.
In fact, not just comic book characters, I'll dare say even Ruby characters have some inconsistencies. So, for example, Yang Xiaolong in Volume 1 and 2 could survive a holy shit worth of craziness, or even in the new comics. But then she gets really easily taken out by this one guy with a red sword. Who's not even that powerful, like, especially when you scale him to the weakest characters like Torchwick and Neo, he's not that powerful, apparently. Like,
or how, like, the writers suddenly decided that semblances were tied to aura, so you can't use your semblance if you're out of aura, even though there's, like, multiple instances of characters using their semblances after the aura visually breaks. So, there's lots
of... the fact as well is that aura or semblances drain your aura, yet some characters just have it consistently on. Like, the newest character's... I can't remember his name, but he basically has, like, a luck ability. And
I haven't watched the most recent
Alright, well, I won't spoil it to you enough. I won't spoil anything of the volume because most of the viewers probably haven't watched it unless you're a first member. Actually, no. If you just have a regular account, you can watch it now, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the final comment. I agree with a lot of these. Much better than the comments we got last time.
I have to agree. I mean, even though it's kind of comic books that are always going to be the worst because, combined Marvel and DC have over 100 years worth of comics, characters, and they're all subject to be inconsistent and kind of just be a victim of the common trends we see with death battle combating comic book characters.
Yeah. And, I do feel a lot of empathy for the writers of comic books and for Ruby because they're both dealing with similar issues, specifically a case of a lack of creative freedom where you have to acknowledge all of the work that came before and you can't change it. And so you're left with the decision of either, making a story that's inconsistent but a good story or making a bad story that's consistent. Because your hands are tied with decades and decades of comic book history you have to acknowledge.
In fact,
same thing with Ruby, where it's like the new writers can try as hard as they might, but they have a specific story and script they got to stick to, and so that limits their creative freedom.
In fact,
much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Unpopular opinion about the Ruby writers, they're trying to still continue Monty's story, and I might get crucified for saying this, maybe they should change it a wee bit because
I would like to. I would like to.
Don't get me wrong, Monty.
No.
God rest his soul. He was a good man.
Yeah,
he only
definitely
gave rough. Apparently, he made Volume 1 and 10. He's written those, but I believe those are just drafts. Like every writer, I have a story I want to make, but I've planned out like 50 books, but they're just drafts. When I actually get to that book, I might be like, no, I think I want to change that up a bit, actually.
Exactly, yeah. Nothing was ever set in stone.
Alive, so.
Which, granted, good on them, but objectively, I agree with you and Jaru that they shouldn't, because...
Monty would not get angry if they changed the story. If they suddenly added a new member to Ruby, I'm sure he'll be like, do you know what? That character's badass. Bring her in. Just bring her in.
And it doesn't matter, like, what he would have wanted, what he thought. He even, I forget where it was. It was like in one of the interview books where he was talking about how he's not a writer. Like, he didn't even think of himself as a writer.
Yeah, he just
thought of
animated
cool
and put a
ideas.
story over it.
He came up
Like,
with cool ideas and tried to make them real. And
Like,
that's great.
exactly.
A lot of
you don't
Monty
take a bunch
stands.
of separate. Like, it reminds me of that video, This is Basically Ruby by Jill Apocalypse, where he says how they throw in every cool idea and they don't develop it. And that's very much so Monty that did that. That's what causes Ruby to be like.
Yes.
That's actually kind of
One-
interesting because Miles and Kerry about the story, whereas Monty was about the animation. So that's what kind of made them such a good team. But when you lose the animation guy and just have the story writers, you got
Then you get modern day Ruby.
Well, yeah, when you lose the animator, but you have to keep going off the dead animator's vague ass storyline.
Mm-hmm.
and then
You
we're not
lose
talking about
both
Ruby. We're at the
animation
10-minute mark. So
and
War
story.
Machine versus Genos.
No,
Anyway,
I would like to.
Point is,
Yeah.
there are lots of inconsistencies out there. It's not necessarily the writer's fault, especially with these long-running stories.
Yes, and to end my point on that, I think the Ruby team should bring in the people who wrote the DC comics because clearly they are doing a bold and creative new direction for the show while still having constraints.
Actually,
Okay,
Miles
I'm
and Kerry are writing the comics.
Doesn't feel like it.
Well, believe it, pal.
Feels
No, the chick who wrote Batwoman is writing it. What are you, crazy?
No, but Miles and Kerry are also helping with the story.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just anyway. We should talk about the death battle.
Yes.
Yes, the death battle.
Oh, we're nearly at the 30-minute mark. Okay, so my initial thoughts was not going into it expecting to have such a good time watching it, but I ended up loving the episode. I thought it was great, despite the fact I know practically jack shit about Genos.
Yes.
Cool.
Are you tagging us? Wait, are you
No,
done?
sorry. There was something going
Okay.
on with the audio. It looked like it was moving, so I wasn't sure if I was talking over you guys, but I think that might have just been one of you guys tapping something.
I don't know what
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Me
I
neither.
think it's Jaru tapping something.
but yeah.
Jaru, wait for your turn! So, analysis-wise, pretty, despite the fact we were talking about inconsistencies, they were pretty consistent when talking about War Machine Genos. They didn't do a lot of scaling for War Machine or to Genos. Like, I was really worried that they were going to scale Genos to Saitama and say, oh, if Saitama can do this, maybe Genos is on that level too. It's like, are they
We're
gonna-
waiting for a different day to piss everyone off regarding him. So we're gonna
Exactly.
wait until he kills Goku, and then we'll see how he does.
So, yeah, this was funny. I really enjoyed a lot of Wiz and Boomstick's moments. Like, when Boomstick referenced the fact that Wiz stabbed him in the foot with the trident. Which, by the way, that is probably the funniest moment those two have ever had. How about
Funniest
that
moment
point?
in this new season.
So, as for the fight itself, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment where War Machine looked very floaty. Like, I know he can fly, but he looked like a balloon when he was dodging a lot of the things. I have mastered the art of Go-Go Gadget Balloon.
Go Gadget Balloon.
The last bit when Genos and War Machine fired their beams, and it was like that reminded me a lot of Cell versus Gohan in the Cell Saga. That was so cool. They did trick me when I was thinking War Machine got incinerated, but then the moment he was just standing there, just tanking shot after shot, and he just has his hands to his side, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this all day, and then just walks out of the jelly. Oh, that was brilliant. I love that. As for the reason behind the winner, I suppose it makes sense. I did like the fact that Genos did not actually look like he was in for a one-sided fight.
Get my thoughts on that later.
Apparently they said he was faster than War Machine, so that gave him an advantage there. And of course, he had a lot of advantages for keeping up with him, and even his weaponry matched a lot of his abilities, but War Machine's raw power was enough to overpower the poor robotic man. You know.
Yeah.
Some people call him a cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he is a cyborg, man.
He
What is there that's organic of him?
his
He's
brain.
still a cyborg.
A cyborg is when you put like a robotic thing with an organic thing.
Yeah, there's an organic brain.
Oh,
Yeah,
does he have an
he just
organic
summed
brain?
up. Yes.
That's it. But he's constantly had his head like bashed in and caved in, and we've seen what his head looks like on the inside. There's no brain in there.
He's a
there
cyborg.
Okay, to be fair, I was mostly going off clips I saw in the death battle, so.
Yeah, as someone who actually watched the show and read the manga, I can confirm.
Exactly.
Or maybe if
Thank-
you watched the death
Brain.
battle before we started recording this, we wouldn't have had to wait half an hour.
Go, Sean,
But
repeat
definitely
that
wasn't your
clip.
fault for missing what 2 p.m. was.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sean,
fuck's
repeat that clip where Bill said he was going to watch the entirety of One Punch Man.
And Sean, you're
So-
fired if you put that in. Even though
No,
I'm not
you're
paying
not,
you by the
Sean. No,
slightest.
you're not, Sean.
But I've never really felt the need to really watch an episode. I might change that now because I think season 2 is going to be added to Netflix soon, and they've just added they've re-added season 1.
Yeah.
So you know,
Watch the,
I'll fully watch it and fully give it my thoughts. I might even post a mini review on Twitter.
anything
Anyway.
else to say about the match?
Yes, you guys tag in.
All right.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll soften the blow. I'm more or less the same. Analysis, didn't care too much for it. Was well put together, well researched, all of that. The jokes continue to not get me to laugh, except the callback to the season 6 premiere. That was good. The designs, I'm still giving into the Stockholm syndromes, but they're terrifying as
They're
hell.
fine. You guys need to grow up.
God bless.
Accept change.
Oh, I accept
No,
it.
I don't.
It is
I've,
beautiful.
I've pretty much just lived with it. Animation,
Japanese horror. It's beautiful.
yeah, exactly. Animation, I was a bit worried about. I do think, in my personal opinion, they should have given this to either Lewis or Blind Ferret or somebody who really is more experienced with what these two are all about. This was Rooster Teeth
Oh,
themselves.
God.
It was, yeah, it's the same team that animated Deadpool versus The Mask. Yeah.
In case you guys can't tell, Jaru has some interesting opinions about the animation.
Again,
I'm just so glad it wasn't Lewis. I was going to feel so bad.
No, it's not. In my opinion, I think Lewis would have killed it if he did it. But anyway, that's beside the point. 95% of the animation, maybe even a 90%, it looks good when it's in motion, but there are moments where you can tell anime close-up fights are not their strong day. And like Bill said, there's a bit of floatiness. Everything's a little wonky when they try to go close up, fist to fist. It just doesn't work. And the being struggle was a nice touch. But in my opinion, the one thing that kind of makes me appreciate and not appreciate this fight, and still reigning Jack versus Afro or Mario versus Sonic as head supreme kick-ass hand-drawn fights, is that throughout this fight, War Machine wasn't even trying. Like, I watched it 4 times, and I had this, maybe, I know it was probably an unintentional on their part, but it just felt like War Machine was just toying with the poor bastard. And when he just stood there and let him fire at him towards the end, I think that's pretty much Goku versus Superman 2 levels of, yeah, I'm not selling this. Like, I'm just gonna let. I'm gonna let. Yeah, I'm just going to let you assume you're in control of this very moment, only to take it away from you.
He pretty much did a freaking Dracula versus Ganon, where he's like, oh yeah, go ahead, throw all you can at me, but motherfucker, I'm Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, again,
they respect the characters.
Yeah, I mean, War Machine had some. They did still do a good job of paying tribute to the characters, but to me, this just felt like, even though it's not one-sided, it really felt one-sided in the animation because, again, Rhodey wasn't even trying that hard to take this guy down. And
I mean, the fact he had to use his chest beam, because he was eventually getting overpowered.
But that was the most effort he put into it, though. Again, he barely tried in any of the other portions. So, yeah, I think this was good. I would prefer in the future that Rooster Teeth animation team work on episodes like Deadpool versus The Mask, since that's more their style, and have someone like Lewis or Blind Ferret tackle anime style fight, because again, there are still parts where Rooster Teeth has to improve. But I say,
hey, I thought the animators did a fantastic job.
Oh no, believe me,
you were good.
Yeah, no, trust me. The fact that they mixed Unreal Engine and 2D hand-drawn segments, that's awesome. I love the 3D backgrounds, and I love the designs, and I love some of the flying. But it just felt like, okay, they were pushing themselves to their limits here. Like, this is the best they can do, and I respect that. And I admire their passion. I would say this is a good hand-drawn fight that's better than Deadpool versus The Mask. So that's about all I have to say about it. All right, I'm tagging you, Jaru. Go ahead.
You got 10 minutes.
That's all.
Research-wise, couldn't give a shit. I don't give a damn about their research. I'm only in it for the fight. As far as the fight goes, it was rough. I'm going to go on a limb and say it was probably the worst hand-drawn fight that's ever been on the show. The Deadpool versus the Mask segments were much more in line. I'm so glad that it was Rooster Teeth that did this and not Lewis, because I would have felt so bad talking bad about Lewis's work.
So you're saying you're happy to make the animators for Rooster Teeth feel like shit?
Yeah, because I'm evil. Didn't you know? But no, I think they probably have.
You heard that, Rooster Teeth? You're horrible animators, and you should go die in a hole.
Let him finish, Bill.
I've only got 10 minutes, Bill. Let me go talk.
Exactly.
But no, I think they have animation styles that they're suited to, and animation styles that they have worked on and have experience with, and anime is not one of them. And I think Richard pointed that out pretty well. I think the reason Deadpool versus the Mask, when it actually was being animated and wasn't live action, was looked great, and was because it was a cartoony, absurd style, which, from what I know of Rooster Teeth's hand-drawn shows, are what they do. They do goofy hand-drawn stuff. And that, I think, is where they went wrong in having them take care of this, because it really shows that they have not done this sort of thing much. There are moments where the characters are, it looks like there's just 2 frames of animation as a character's arm goes from punching the other person to out of punching and then back again as they're doing a barrage of punches anime style. And it looks like, it's like if you took the worst bits of season 2 of One Punch Man and then took out 90% of the frames. And that's what it looks like during those moments. It's not without its elements of quality. I think Rhodey looked pretty all right. I think the beam struggle was fun, but that's about it. I think the rest of the action was clunky. I think it was very off-model for Genos.
I mean, I feel like compared to most hand-drawn fan fights, this one was probably the best I've seen.
I disagree.
I would have preferred a sprite fight over this hand-drawn style.
I would have preferred 3D.
I think the Mega Man Battle Royale showcased how sprite battles using cyborg-type characters can be good. And I would say objectively that the Mega Man Battle Royale was more visually engaging than this. But yeah, no, I think it was fine as far as on a very basic level of production value. There is production value here, but it doesn't look like One Punch Man, and it doesn't really satisfy me on a combat level. I don't think the exchanges of blows or attacks were all that fun to watch, except for the beam struggle. Also, I think that as far as the voice acting goes, I hate the English dub of One Punch Man, so I have nothing to say about Genos' voice actor. I think Rhodey sounded pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Kind of a lot like the MCU version with the character. However, I do think the fight was generally kind of disrespectful to Genos, especially near the end. Where the beam struggle is fun, but having him spend the next goddamn eternity So I think the part where he spends the next eternity blasting him over and over and over again, him staying there and just no-selling it, was incredibly stupid and disrespectful to Genos. It's just like, if he'd survived the blast and then won, and then just cut to the part where he blasts him, and then that would have been fine. But having this extended segment of Genos just being completely ineffectual,
it felt like padding.
Well, not only was it
also,
padding,
actually, do you know what? Jaru,
So.
You're saying you didn't want to disrespect Jets. He was the director of this episode.
Well, he wasn't the one who was animating it, so you know what?
No, he was the lead animator.
Oh,
Would you just let him talk?
Sorry. Just thought I'd let that out there.
Okay, well, you know what? I think Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai was one of the best things ever on the show. So I clearly think he has chops for hand-drawn animation. It just wasn't on full display here today. So ultimately, the hand-drawn animation was fine, but I did not enjoy the fact that they had Genos looking like a complete fucking failure. And I don't even care that he lost. I mean, I do care. Obviously, it wasn't enjoyable because he lost. But that said, like, if that's what they think wins, fine, but at least make him go out in a satisfying way. Like, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of this fight. I would say it was probably the worst hand-drawn fight we've ever had, including Deadpool versus the Mask. That said, it was still probably at least like a 7 out of 10. Like, even their worst work is not bad. It's just that when you compare it to masterpieces like the Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack fight, or Mario vs. Sonic Remastered, or hell, even the animated parts of Deadpool versus the Mask, it's like I genuinely did not enjoy this. Like, on a visual level, on a character model level, on the pacing level, it was not enjoyable. Period. But on an objective level, I can acknowledge quality when I see it. And it was like easily a 7 out of 10. Probably, maybe better. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'd give it more than that. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I didn't like it very much.
Okay, well, let's hear from
you. It was probably one of my least favorites of the season, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was just flat out my least favorite of the season.
It's definitely number 3 in my top 3 so far.
I enjoyed the screamy lady fight more than this.
That kind of is.
I mean, it doesn't help that we had Genos, the bestest of boys, being killed by the most fucking F tier of Marvel.
Wow.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, no.
Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I wasn't a huge fan. Objectively, I can acknowledge the quality that is there. And there's some music. I haven't really listened to the soundtrack separately.
Oh, yeah.
Soundtrack's okay. Nothing too great.
Would have been better with lyrics, but they didn't put lyrics, so kind of gets a lower score for me.
I mean, not every theme needs lyrics.
Yes, it does. Shut up. Oh, speaking of that, finally, after 2 weeks, Turtle Power is finally available to listen on Spotify. So
yeah, I think they're trying to have the music out a bit later because they don't want people doing those like 15-minute. Oh, my pizza's here. 15 minutes YouTubers, which I think are the most lazy videos that I've seen. They just take the Death Battle music and just make it like 15 minutes longer.
Well, then I don't know.
You can't argue that. But
no, I can't argue and I can't give you an answer.
Well, that's our initial thoughts. I thought it was a fantastic episode. Richard, did you say it was good but had problems?
Yes, it was good, but it definitely had some big flaws, and I think Jaru echoed with me and Jaru both echoed each other.
I think Jaru just flat out hates it.
No, I think that good with flaws is probably the most objective description of it that I think.
Yes, exactly. Just going forward, yeah.
Subjectively, I hated it, but yes. But objectively, it's good with flaws.
Well, let's hear what people have to say in the comments for next time, and let's hear your arguments for either one of our opinions. Which one of us has the shittest opinions here?
It's probably going to be Bill.
Probably going to be me.
What?
I go out of my way to have the shittest opinions. So
No, watch.
That's not cool, bruh.
Nothing's cool, bruh.
But do you know what is cool? The next time.
Oh, God,
by the most literal definition, it is cool.
Damn it. I can't believe I played along with that.
Yeah, well played.
So the next episode is Grey Fox versus Ediths. How do you pronounce
Oh
that?
wait, did you just say Gray?
He's not Ethan.
Gray Fox is from Metal Gear Solid. God
Oh,
dang
for fuck's
it,
sake, I
Phil.
did it again.
Yeah, oh my god.
Editor, get that out of there. I meant to...
No, Sean, keep that in. We need to keep a
Absolutely.
counter going.
That was beautiful. And I'm going to do my best to say Esdeath in as many different ways as possible throughout this conversation.
I'm just gonna call her Death for short because
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
Why did I say Grey Fox?
Yeah. It's a duck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because people harp on me when I try and pronounce the Japanese anime names and I fuck it up.
Okay,
So,
so
I'm calling it
Grey
Death.
from Fairy Tale.
Yeah, thank you. Versus Death from. Go ahead.
First
From a common.
This is the worst episode we've done.
No, it isn't. Shut up. Anyway, finish your sentence.
Yeah.
So the next time we're having another cryomancy death battle, which we haven't had enough of those, have we?
We've only had 2.
To me, that's enough.
At least it wasn't another Marvel or DC character.
You know,
Hey-o!
Ben's gonna watch this and be like, you know what? Just to spite this guy. Hey guys, let's do Miles versus I don't know, this other DC guy.
It's Death from
Third
a comic.
fairy tale character.
Yeah,
It's actually nuts.
yeah, that's true. This is our 3rd fairy tale
I'd like
character.
to point out that we have had 3 times as many fairy tale characters as we have had One Piece characters.
Exactly.
Wait, how many One Piece characters have we had? We've had 2.
One.
1, 2. Yeah, just 2.
I swear we've
Wait,
had a
but-
third
2?
one.
Wait, what do y'all mean 2? What other? There was Zoro.
Ace.
Who else?
Ace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Does that count? I don't know if he counts.
He's in One Piece.
Okay,
yeah, but he
fine.
died. So
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're not part of the franchise.
okay, fine. Fine, whatever.
No, what? He's not part of the main crew. I don't think he counts.
He was
doesn't
part of the
count.
main crew.
Okay, yeah. All right. Look. He's a part of the series, but he's not a part of the main crew.
He was
One
part of the
the-
main crew and then he died.
Yeah,
He was
but-
not. God, have you watched the show?
No,
Well-
given that he hasn't watched One Punch Man, I think
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it
If
does.
you don't have the time to watch the 12 episodes of One Punch Man, then you don't have time to watch the 7,000 episodes of One Piece.
I was too busy watching Peaky Blinders.
And whose fault is that? Anyway, yes. Anyway,
More meaningful fairy tale characters than One Piece characters, and I think that's hilarious.
I really hope, man. We're now all we need is Lucy, and the end will come full circle.
Wow, we've had 3 Naruto characters. No, we've had 4 Naruto characters.
Yep, 4.
3 fairy tale characters and only 2 One Piece characters. Really, only 1 One Piece character.
And 1 Bleach character.
Yeah,
I will admit, Death Battle definitely needs to give more franchises more recognition. It's great that...
And we've had how many goddamn Dragon Ball characters appear in this show?
It's more important to have the 27th D-tier Marvel character. God bless. I'm so glad we had War Machine. I'm glad it wasn't anyone else. Oh.
I think because of the MCU making those characters popular,
Oh,
they
Was he
wanted...
popular? He's in like 2 movies and he died. I don't think he died, but he might as well.
He's been in more than 2 movies.
Yeah,
But I don't remember.
Anyway, so this fight's interesting because it was not included in the teasers, and this fight's gonna be like a weird anomaly because it could either be a good cold-themed matchup, or it could just go sit down with Weiss versus Mitsuru and watch as Sub-Zero versus Glacius is still the fucking best one of them all.
Since I gave both 8 out of 10, I have no reason to think this will be a bad fight. I mean, actually, the last fairy tale match wasn't that great, so maybe I do have reason to think that.
I think Urza versus Zoro was much better than Ace versus Natsu.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I mean...
I think both are deeply flawed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know
Anyway,
what to say about this.
have either of you watched either of these shows?
During my sixth form days, which is essentially college, one of my friends used to talk all so much about fairy tale, and I originally thought he was talking about like Grimm fairy tales for a while, but then I was watching. He was before YouTube got banned from our school and blocked. He used to watch all the AMV fights.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he used to watch.
That is funny.
He never even listened to music. He would mute the music and just watch the fight. And I'd lean over while I'm doing my work, thinking, "Oh wow, this looks pretty cool." What is it? Like, oh, it's fairy tale. Got added to Netflix. So I thought, you know what? We're gonna hang out later. Let's check the show out.
Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is one of the few animes that I really enjoy the English dub. I think the English dub's
Absolutely.
Fairy Tail is actually kind of an interesting sort of thing for me because when it comes to not just the verse community but also the anime community, before Fairy Tail, Bleach was sort of the most low tier to people. Like that was the most hated show. Well, hated loosely, you know, like anime just
the top
shit talk.
of the genre. Yeah, it was.
It's
considerably-
shit talk, but then when Fairy Tail came about, then that was the shit talk show, and I'm just thinking,
Oh yeah, everyone loves
Well,
the shit talk Fairy Tail.
That is why I hate the anime community.
in fact,
sometimes.
I think after Fairy Tail, when Ruby came around, even though that's not really an anime, everyone started hating on that, and now they're hating on this new anime. I can't remember what the fuck it was called.
It's a never-ending goddamn cycle. Who
Like,
cares?
I saw
People are
someone
always
comment
fighting
about how Ruby's so bad, and someone legit said, "Oh, we don't hate on Ruby anymore. We hate on this other show." And it's like,
No, look, okay.
you guys
nothing
select which shows
look,
to hate.
Look, these people are under the damn impression that nothing's ever going to be better than Dragon Ball Z, so let's hate on the next thing that comes out.
Well, that's the thing now.
Naruto,
Bleach is getting talked about a lot more now.
Well, first 3 seasons of Naruto. Well, no, Dragon Ball's good. Dragon Ball Z still holds up. Well, that's a conversation for another day, damn it.
Right. So,
I
Gray
think
Fox.
Naruto has better writing than Dragon.
Well, okay, I'll agree to that.
Although I'll also say that the fighting in the first, like, until Naruto Shippuden, I think all the action scenes in Naruto fucking blow.
So,
Like, people are like, oh my god, Lee versus Gaara, and then you go watch it, and it's like, oh my god, was this made in 1927? What the fuck? It's terrible.
So Gray was one of the few characters that I actually liked because not a lot of fairy tale characters really interested me. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
How dare you not be
Gray
interested
sort
in
of stood out
Lucy?
because while I was in sixth form, when I was writing my own stories, I was always kind of into like the lone wolf or sort of rivalry characters. More than I was into the hero. I always enjoyed more the rivals than the heroes.
Sure.
Understandable.
More complex characters than just, I'm good because good.
Hashtag Vegeta is better than Goku.
As for Edith or Isdif or Def or whatever, people will probably correct me in the comments. I've seen
It's pronounced as Tiafe, excuse me.
It's pronounced Death.
I've seen the videos of her fights. She doesn't really interest me as much as a character, but she interests me more as a combatant. Like her ice powers are definitely more interesting than Sub-Zero's, Elsa's, or even like Gray's.
Maybe if you watch the show, maybe you get interested in her as a character. Sorry, what was it?
I don't really plan to watch it though, because her character just does not interest me. Like during the fight, she's a pretty much cliche power character. For those who don't know, essentially the characters are one damage, they have one personality, and then there's but they're super powerful, so you gotta like them. That's how I see her.
That's how I feel about, like, I don't know, a lot of Dragon Ball villains. It's like, Frieza's fun enough, I guess, but ultimately his whole character he's evil because he's evil.
Cell was the
Team
pretty
Four-Star definitely made the
interesting.
villains better.
Cell's still the best villain in Dragon Ball overall.
I think Majin Buu's the best villain. Not just kidding.
Do you know what? Deep down, I do have a soft spot for Majin Buu, just to his voice.
Okay, yeah, this is what this matchup is doing to us. It's causing us to talk about other fucking anime. That's,
Yeah, because
I think
it's boring.
Yeah, okay.
not
Let's
boring.
let's not pretend. Let's not pretend. Come on.
Okay.
Us three combined,
wanna say-
we're not that interested. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love Fairy Tail. I've watched like
Same
all
here.
of it, and I will defend it. And
I've watched
still,
2 seasons.
I've watched all of it, and I love it. I think the fan service is horrific, but the rest of the show I thoroughly enjoy. And I don't care about this matchup at all.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm interested to see maybe they can convince me more about Edith. Maybe she's more than what I think she is. So that's what I'm going to say. So not more for the fight, but what Death Battle's meant to be about, introducing people to these characters. And giving
Is that
us.
what it's meant to be about?
Yeah, no, I thought it was
That's
supposed
why
to
I'm
be
looking
about.
forward to more of the analysis. Sure, I want to see the fight because apparently it's going to be hand drawn again.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Who's
we
doing
don't.
it this time?
Yeah, we don't know for sure what this animation's going to
Are
be.
they
Some
gonna
have said
Is it Rooster Teeth again?
no. We don't know. Some people said it's going to be a sprite fight. Some people have
Oh
said
no,
it's
there's
going
not
to be
going to be a
another hand
sprite
drum
fight. That's
fight.
been confirmed. It's not going to be a sprite.
Oh, so it is going to 100% be a hand
I
drum
never
fight.
thought I'd miss the sprite fights, but here we are.
Okay, all right. No, hold on. This could be
So-
good. This could be good, Jaru. We could have Lewis or Blind Ferret do it.
That'd be great.
I feel like I should title
Okay.
this episode "Rooster Teeth Sucks,"
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
There.
no. Okay.
just to see
if
what people's
Lewis is-
reactions would be when they click on the video.
All right, if Lewis is doing it, you better goddamn believe I'm going to be supporting it all the fucking way. If Blind Ferret's doing it, I will be happy as a little girl on her first cheerleading practice.
Are they that happy on those events? I'm not so sure about that.
Well, they try to be, damn it.
Well, not when they get pregnant.
No, shut up. Okay, whatever. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Look, I like Grey. I've watched Fairy Tail both seasons. I stopped halfway, but I love the fucking show. I love the characters, but I have not seen Akame la Kill, and I'm sorry, but it just doesn't interest me. This matchup
Is that kind of
only
unfair to
has
say though,
one-
because you haven't seen the show, so you can't really say if it's going to be a good episode?
No,
or bad one.
unlike you, I watched like maybe 2-3 episodes and then I gave up on it.
But does that? I at least watched all the fights of her.
That doesn't count. You just watched clip shows.
There were still
You
pretty
watched
cool
the-
fights, and it's going to be
Okay,
interesting to see what her character is.
Regardless, I'm only interested in this fight for two things: the animation and Grey. Do I think Grey will win? I'm hoping, because he can eat fucking ice, and if Death is just an ice character that can stop time, really, what the hell is that going to matter? But if Death wins,
I definitely
well,
think
then-
Grey could win. I've seen people say Edith is going to win. I don't know. A lot of the fights I've seen of Grey and Edith, Grey looks like he has the advantage in speed, definitely, especially since he's equal to Natsu, which I'm not saying it. I'm saying he's generally equal to him when they fight.
They're rivals, so they're comp.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely faster. Stronger, I'm not sure. I think Edith may be stronger, but in terms of like the ability-wise, I think that's where Grey has her being. That's what's going to come down to, who
Well,
can
see,
do the
His
cryomancy
character,
better.
on the topic of lasers and bad writing being a very advantageous thing to have in versus the debates. Fairy Tail doesn't have the best internal consistency in terms of power levels, so I love it anyway.
The characters
Because I
are
was
as
thinking
powerful as the writers need in that fight.
exactly, the power of friendship is very strong in Fairy Tail.
Yes.
And
Today we can
like,
destroy a mountain, but not tomorrow, because that's today's go-kart day.
Yeah, so Natsu dodged a laser, and he even commented on it as he dodged. He was like, "Whoa, a laser!" And it was like made of light because it was fired from a light dragon. So,
I mean,
or a
I
light
guess that's
dragon slayer.
consistent.
And therefore, boom! Now all
Great.
Fairy Tail characters are FTL. Boom, easy peasy.
Alright then, well, okay, since we're coming
gotcha.
up to the last few minutes, so I'll give my final thoughts. I'm interested in finding out about Edith's character. I'm rooting for Grey. He's a cool character in Fairy Tail.
Stop with the
you
cold puns, damn it.
That was not intentional, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Depending on how the animation is, I'm not too bothered about the animation because I'm more interested in, the new character. Well, not new, but I want to learn about this character. Maybe she might make me root for her in the end. Maybe I'll be like, oh, I don't want to root for Grey anymore. What about you guys?
Traitor. I'm interested for Grey. I definitely am interested for the analysis because I am an animation buff. I like seeing new animations that isn't
Animation.
sprites. Shut up. I like seeing new animation styles that isn't sprite based. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for it to be better than maybe Genos versus War Machine and Sindel versus Black Canary. So if it does that, then there you go. I have it. Then it is officially in my top 3.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fan art for Genos versus War Machine is cooler than Genos versus War Machine. No, I'm not super interested. Even as someone who loves Fairy Tail, I never was super into Grey, and I'm not interested in this matchup at all. It might be good though, so that's fun. Also, though, I would like to point out this is the first matchup this season that was actually on my tier list template. So,
Yeah.
no one was asking for War Machine to fight Genos.
No, people were asking for a War Machine to fight 17 or Cyborg, but they thought, nah, let's have him go up against a guy in a suit.
Yeah. Actually, wait. Surely can't Sindel versus Black Canary was on the template. Anyway, I'm not that interested. It's like a 1 out of 10 on the interest scale. I hope it looks good.
Word.
So, we've essentially given our thoughts on the latest episode of Death Battle, and of course our thoughts on the next time. But while we're on the topic of Death Battle, there's been a question that I've sort of been thoughting about. Yeah, I've been thoughting about this.
Thinking about.
Yes, I know. I was just making a joke.
Okay.
So, I was thinking about this during last night, because I recently saw Craig, who was the original owner of Screw Attack, watching essentially it change. That just got me thinking, the reaction that Screw Attack got when it closed down was so heartbreaking. Like, people who haven't even watched Screw Attack in years, when they found out the news, they were gutted by it. That just makes me think, though, Death Battle has gotten quite a big audience lately. And even if some of it is more criticising, what do you guys think the reaction will be when Death Battle ends?
Two things, in my opinion. One, people are going to be mixed about it, saying, oh, it had a good run. Or some people are just going to, be pissed because they're not going to be able to do their favorite matchups. And then the second thing, well, people who are specifically Death Battle channels are going to be, out of things to talk about because there's no more Death Battles. So you either... Yeah, exactly. You either have to change a gimmick or you just gotta, retire your channel.
Such as Crossover Clash, the sponsor for this video. No, just kidding.
God.
Yes.
Are you talking about my old channel?
I don't even remember what I'm referencing. I don't watch other versus shows, so I have no idea what I just referenced.
I would watch Crossover X. I would watch Rewind Rumble. Plug. And I would watch Superpower Beatdown. I would think those three are the best.
I get what you guys are saying. I do think people might move on to other versus shows like Cartoon Fight Club, Rewind Rumble. But I definitely think people will be sad. Because here's the thing when it comes to social media TV shows. When Dragon Ball Bridge ended, people were speechless. It was heartbreaking. Oh my goodness, this show's been on for so long and it's just come to an end. We never anticipated this. We were not ready for it. It's
and then Dragon Ball Super had to come out.
When it was shows that weren't on for long, I used to watch this when I was in secondary school. Super Mario Bros. Z, which was like a Dragon Ball mixed with Mario. It was pretty fun. God. But that only lasted, I believe, 7 episodes in 1 year. When that ended, not because it was cancelled, because the writer was having mental health issues, which is unfortunate. When he cancelled that, not many were upset by it, but I'm thinking Death Battle has gone for 11 years now. If that show ends, people won't be ready for it. They're going to be miserable about it. And you'll probably get some people that will celebrate it, but then after a while, they'll be like, oh shit, that channel I shit talk's gone now. What do I do with my life?
Exactly. That's a good point.
I'm not worried for our channel. Really my channel.
Well, my channel won't be Death Battle oriented, so going forward...
I'd like to talk about Cartoon Fight Club or Rewind Rumble after Death Battle.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
We've got one of the people that works on here, so...
Oh, thank you.
So you can tell us about the next time, right?
I cannot tell you what the next time... Or else I'll get fired.
I'll make you the editor of these episodes.
No. But I acknowledge what you're saying. Yes, there are definitely going to be people who are sad, and again, we all should be somewhat sad because this has been a good show to talk about that has gotten better or worse depending on your point of view. So,
I would argue it's definitely gotten better, especially compared to the very first episodes. It's come like such a far way, and honestly, I'd like it to end on a high note.
Yes.
I mean, if they ended it, like, I'm just hypothetically, if they ended it on Goku vs. Superman 3, and I don't know, maybe Goku does win that, I'd say that's a perfect way to end it. Because it shows how much the show's developed. Like, they can fully say, oh yes, we think this character would win now. So they're not going to keep on, like, the denial. Like, no, we still think this character will win.
Well, if they do end it on Goku versus Superman 3 and not Boys and Boomstick, then I think that would be a great way to end it where it all began, because it's because of Goku versus Superman that Death Battle got thrusted into the limelight and mainstream of YouTube. So I think it would be quite fitting, actually.
Do you know what I'd actually kind of love, but also be kind of sad? Wiz and Boomstick just, give each other respect. Like, you know what, pal? It's been a good run. Good luck out there. And it just shows them turning off the lights in their workshop. That would just be so bittersweet.
Hey, Ben and Chad, hire us to write the finale of Death Battle.
I'm trying to make, a very emotional moment. You're just like, hey, get us to write it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, truth be told, I'd definitely love to write, like, Wiz and Boomstick, like, skits. Like,
good, maybe you can make them funnier again.
You heard that, Rooster Teeth? Hire me. Hire this nobody.
Exactly.
Jaru, what do you think? I actually kind of want to get your thoughts on this.
On when Death Battle ends?
Like, what would the reaction be?
From humans?
No, from dogs.
From everyone, like humans, aliens that are out there.
I think the Martian fan base will be the most disappointed.
Absolutely.
Considering we still haven't had a single Martian in Death Battle. But anyway, some people will be happy, some people will be sad, some people will be like, wow, it had to happen eventually. Some people will be like, thank God they ruined my favorite shit by killing my favorite characters. And some people will be like,
applying yourself there, are you?
I only ever fell in love with Ganondorf because of his Death Battle, so I have no no comments on that. Despite popular belief, Ganondorf was a character I was not into until his first Death Battle.
NANI?!
No, Death Battle has introduced me to plenty of characters that I love, and I'm sure that's the case with plenty of other people. I wasn't even aware of Akuma until his Death Battle, and now I love Akuma. He's pretty much my favorite character out of Street Fighter. I think Death Battle will end, and there will be the typical range of human emotions that occurs when stuff ends.
Yes.
Well, I think it's more like in the long term, like fans or even just viewers who've watched it for so long, they will be shocked by it because.
Yes, they'll be shocked, but they're gonna move on instantly because fans are one thing. Viewership, they couldn't care less. Because they're just,
like I said, casual viewers of Screw Attack came out and they're like, "Oh, this is devastating." Like, I've never expected a show like this or a channel like this to change like that.
Yeah, but you look at the viewer. This season the viewership has dropped off significantly, and that just tells me that people are moving on already. So if Death Battle does end one day, like 5 years from now or 10 years from now, then the viewership is not going to care because viewers are not attached to anything. They move on to the next thing very quickly.
Until you get like 10 years later, future commentary channels like, oh, what's this gen? Oh, this show's underrated. And you should all watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
then we'll be around. Then we'll be around to say, we were watching it, fucker. Where were you 10 years ago?
I'm just picturing like people who said they hated it. Like when I was a kid, so many people hated that Ultimate Spider-Man show. But then as an adult, I've seen my friends going, "Oh, it's so underrated." It's like you weren't saying that 10 years ago.
Well, then those people were traitors because Ultimate Spider-Man is not underrated. It's a piece of fucking trash.
Oh, that's the thing. Like things that may look like hot garbage to us, then future generations go, "Oh, this was good." That's just how the world works, guys.
Yeah. Well, yes, you're right. It is how the world works. But I stand by my statement. fans will be devastated. Fans will be happy. Channels that are solely dedicated to Death Battle will end or change gimmicks, and viewerships that are not on either sides, they're just going to be like, okay, Death Battle's gone. I'll just go watch another video.
Is that what you essentially think, Jaru?
What was the question?
Never mind.
Like everything I was saying, is that what you think? Like,
right. Do you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's kind of an interesting talk to people in the community. Leave your comments.
I think a lot
down.
of people will have grown up and grown out of Death Battle.
Most likely. I mean, I thought I got over when Nickelodeon cancelled that Spider-Man cartoon. I got over that.
Yeah,
wow.
like I'm kind of growing. I mean, I've been growing out of Death Battle for a while.
Same. I'm only going back to it because it's what brings me attention. So nobody cares about my original projects. That's a sad thing.
I care about it. You're a good man, and you know what? If people are going to be douchebags to you just because you do Death Battle, they can go suck a lemon.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Like, viewers do support these guys on Twitter or YouTube. You know, they're really great guys. Even though they kind of kept telling me to shut up this podcast, they're really...
Shut up, Bill.
Yeah, shut the hell up, Bill.
How dare you say poor things about us?
They're great guys. Do support them anyway.
I don't upload super often on YouTube, but I'm shit talking and shit posting on Twitter like every day. So,
and they're generally a fun read. Even if you don't agree with them, I still enjoy seeing the reactions from people.
Oh yeah.
Half of everything I say on there is just to see how people react. It's quite.
Oh yeah.
But all right, let's wrap this up. So viewers, let us know in the comments, what do you think about what will happen with Death Battle, or the viewers when Death Battle ends? Do you think it will be sad? Do you think people will be celebrating? Or do you think, as Richard said, it would be like those cheerleaders during high school prom or whatever?
I said cheerleaders during their first cheerleading practice. God damn it, Bill. Can't you do anything right?
I called this my mum, no. I love you, Mum.
I love you too. I love you too, Billy.
But you're my mum.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
I only tolerate you because I can mooch off your viewers. Just kidding.
Me and Jaru are a big part of the Death Battle community, and people take what we say as literal facts. So.
Oh yeah, that's why the rest of the community cares so much whenever I say things, because people respect me for some reason.
I know.
I think I did math once in a video, and people think I'm a genius now. It's quite nice.
Until you started saying like Genos would beat War Machine, then
Genos could beat the entire Dragon Ball universe with his eyes.
Fuck off! Sorry, my Steam just popped up, just like, hey Bill, do you know this game? I was like, fuck off.
I know.
I don't care for your Steam.
Saitama versus Goku? Fuck that. Genos could beat Goku.
So to end us off,
like to see
leave us your thoughts about what your reaction would be when Death Battle ends. Are you going to be sad about it? And as always, like and favourite this video, share it around, get people watching. And as always, I will see you guys whenever I upload.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, you're not going to do your outros?
Oh, shut up, Bill.
Like if you enjoyed the video, comment if you got something to say, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, have a fantastic day.
I'm Saber King. May my reign last for an eternity.
Jaru hates Rooster Teeth.